Have you ever wondered what the very first car was? Well, the answer isn't just some forgotten invention in a museum. It's actually a brand you see everywhere. You say, the story of Mercedes-Benz? It's pretty much the story of the car itself. And it all kicked off with one guy's seemingly impossible dream.
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with that dream of an engine, then talk about an absolutely legendary road trip that changed everything. We'll see how two bitter rivals came together, how the company literally rose from the ashes after the war, and finally, how it became the icon of luxury we know today. It's going to be a wild ride.
All right, let's dive in. Our story really kicks off with the man himself, Karl Benz. And his journey wasn't just about tinkering with gears and engines. It was a relentless fight, a constant struggle against being flat broke, all for a vision that, frankly, nobody else really got. So Karl Benz's early life, it was tough. I mean, really tough. His dad was a train driver and died when Karl was only 2 years old. But despite all that, he was brilliant. He crushed it in school and got his degree in mechanical engineering. He then poured every last penny into his first workshop, which, you guessed it, almost went under. But he never gave up. After years and years of grinding, in 1878, boom, he patents his two-stroke engine. This was it, the first big win. And Karl was the first to admit none of this would have happened without his wife, Bertha. Her role is so often overlooked, but it was absolutely critical. I mean, think about this. The company was at its absolute lowest point. His business partner bailed, he was facing total ruin, and it was Bertha, using her dowry and her sheer belief in him, that saved the entire dream from just disappearing. So he has this incredible invention, but it's just sitting in the workshop, collecting dust. It's a cool curiosity, sure, but nobody thinks it has a future. To get it out there, to make people care, it was going to take a really bold move. And here's the twist. The plan didn't come from Karl. This is where Bertha Benz literally takes the wheel. And this was the machine, the star of the show, the Patent-Motorwagen. It got its patent in 1886, and it was basically a gasoline engine strapped to a three-wheeled cart. I mean, it was revolutionary, but the public, they just kind of shrugged. Can you believe it? After 2 whole years, Karl had only sold one, just one, in all of Germany. Okay, so something had to change. This thing needed a PR stunt, big time. And Bertha, fed up with everyone's indifference, decided she was going to be the one to do it. So one morning, she doesn't even tell Karl, she just grabs her 2 sons, hops into the Patent-Motorwagen, and sets off on this insane 65-mile journey to go see her mom. Nobody had ever done anything like it. And let me tell you, this was no Sunday drive. She basically had to invent roadside assistance as she went along. The fuel line gets clogged, no problem. She just uses her hairpin to clear it out. An ignition wire shorts out, she uses her own garter to insulate it. The brakes were shot, so she finds a cobbler and gets him to nail on some leather. And get this, she ran out of fuel. Back then, you couldn't just pull into a gas station. She had to buy a cleaning solvent from a pharmacy. This trip was just an incredible display of ingenuity, and it absolutely blew people's minds. It became a global sensation. So Bertha's drive was hands down the greatest car ad of all time. It worked. Sales finally started to pick up. But here's the thing. Karl Benz wasn't the only game in town. Not by a long shot. He was about to come face to face with some serious competition. Right, so 2 big names started to dominate the scene. You had Karl's company, Benz and C, which was steadily building more cars. And then you had Daimler Motoren Gesellschaft, let's just call it DMG, founded by Gottlieb Daimler and Wilhelm Maybach. These guys were all about racing and high-performance innovation, and they became bitter rivals, both constantly trying to one-up each other. But then World War I happens, and it just devastates the German economy. Things are a mess. Suddenly, these 2 fierce rivals are both struggling to survive. So they do the unthinkable. In 1926, they decide to bury the hatchet and merge. And just like that, Daimler-Benz was born, and with it, the Mercedes-Benz brand. And this new company, it was a powerhouse. But as history often does, it was about to repeat itself in the worst way. World War II brought absolute destruction, and Mercedes-Benz was once again forced to rebuild, literally from the ashes, and figure out who they were going to be. And the path forward looked bleak. I mean, their factories were just rubble. For a while, the only thing they could even make were the old pre-war models. It was a slow, painful process of rebuilding from absolutely nothing. But their comeback strategy was just genius. Check this out. In 1951, they unveil the super luxurious 300 Adenauer, basically announcing, we're back in the high-end game. Then in 54, they drop the jaw-dropping 300 SL Gullwing, a car that still looks futuristic today. And by 1959, the Fintail series comes out, introducing all these new safety features. Their comeback wasn't just a recovery, it was a triumph.
So at this point, they hadn't just survived 2 world wars, they were thriving. And for the next few decades, they really focused on building their reputation. It wasn't about just making cars anymore. No, they were now setting the standard that every other car maker had to try and meet. And they did this by basically inventing a whole new category of car. The S-Class, which stands for Sonderklasse or Special Class, became the definition of luxury. If you're a world leader, a CEO, this was your car. It was like a rolling vault of the absolute latest and greatest tech and safety. But they weren't just about luxury sedans. They proved they could do rugged, too. You see, the G-Wagon was never meant for us. It was designed as a tough-as-nails military vehicle for the Shah of Iran. But when that deal collapsed, Mercedes thought, what if we sold this to regular people? And in doing so, they accidentally created one of the most legendary and sought-after SUVs on the planet. Then comes along this legendary designer, Bruno Sacco, and he had this idea that a big luxury car didn't have to look like a brick. He proved it could be aerodynamic, sleek, and efficient. His design, the W126 S-Class, was a home run. It became the best-selling S-Class of all time and just completely owned the market for more than 10 years. So when you put it all together, the wild inventions, the bitter rivalries, the incredible comebacks, you realize it forged something more than just a car company. It created a true cultural icon. And the story's filled with these amazing little details. For instance, the name Mercedes, right? It has nothing to do with the Benz family. It was actually the name of the daughter of a really important business partner. That famous 3-pointed star, it represents their ambition to conquer land, sea, and air. And of course, the cars have had some pretty famous fans, like Steve Jobs, who figured out a legal loophole so he could drive his silver SL55 AMG without any license plates at all. And all of that history, all that prestige, it translated into some serious cash. By 2015, the brand was valued at a mind-boggling $35 billion. That officially cemented its status as one of the most powerful, most recognized car brands in the entire world. But at the end of the day, you have to bring it all back to where it began, back to the 2 people who made it all possible. Karl, the genius inventor, passed away in 1929, and Bertha, the woman whose sheer guts and marketing savvy pulled the car out of the workshop and into the world, she passed away in 1944. Their partnership, their vision, it was the foundation for everything. So we'll leave you with this final thought. The entire, massive, multi-trillion-dollar car industry that we have today, you can trace it all back to one man's stubborn dream and one woman's incredible belief in him. It's just an amazing reminder that a single great idea, with the right support, can literally change the world.